What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to Sacred Cards. Today I'm coming at you with an update to my Magistus deck profile for March 2024. It's a spellcaster strategy that equips cards from your main deck and extra deck to gain different effects. This is a pure 40 card build that does what the deck does best. It's a ton of fun to play, and I'm still doing testing, so stay tuned for future updates. I'm trying to make the build as competitive as possible so it can still keep up and function in a way it's supposed to. It's a breath of fresh air to step away from the meta and play something a bit more fun and unique. I really do enjoy challenging myself to build decks that are at a lower tier but can still compete with the best. It's much more rewarding for me to try and win by being a good pilot rather than playing the most meta-relevant strategy. That being said, I often build decks based on lore and playstyle regardless of their status. So let me know what you all think and what you like to play in the comments. So with all that said, I'll go through my deck list and try and explain the cards as best I can. Let's get right on into it here. Starting off the monsters, 3 copies of Zeroa, the Magistus of Flame, one of the most important cards of the deck. This card can target any Magistus monster you control and equip it with a Magistus card from your extra deck. Also, if this card is equipped to a Magistus monster, you can special summon a level 4 spellcaster from your hand or graveyard. Next up is 3 copies of Riliona, the Magistus of Vare. This card has the ability that if it's normal or special summon, you can either add a Magistus spell or trap from your deck to your hand, or you can return a banished level 4 or lower spellcaster to your graveyard. Plus, you can banish this card from your graveyard to equip a Magistus monster you control with a Magistus monster from your graveyard. We then play 3 copies of Endymion, the Magistus of Mastery. This card also lets you target any Magistus monster you control and equip it with a Magistus monster from your extra deck, allowing you to gain whatever effect you might want at the time. It also has the ability to target a face-up spell you control, destroy it to draw a card, and place 1 card from your hand on the bottom of the deck. And last of the Magistus monsters is 3 copies of Crowley, the Magistus of Grimoire. Jeez. This card can special summon itself from the hand by sending a spellcaster monster from your hand or field to the graveyard. It can also change its own attribute to any type you want till the end of the turn. Plus, if you banish this card from the graveyard, you can target a Magistus monster you control and equip it with a Magistus monster from your graveyard, very similar to Riliona. Next, for my tech options, I'm choosing to play 2 copies of Performage Trick Clown and 1 copy of Witchcrafter Golem Aruru. Trick Clown is great when sending it to the graveyard, as you can special summon it back by taking 1,000 life points. Really good to send with your copies of Crowley to help you extend, or just getting into your Link 1. Golem Aruru is fantastic for any spellcaster strategy. I'm really happy with this tech option because if your opponent targets your spellcaster with an effect or an attack, you can special summon this card from your hand and return a card they control back to the hand. This card returns to your hand during the opponent's standby phase, so you can repeat the cycle, which is why I think you only need 1 copy. Next, for some hand traps, I'm playing 3 copies of Ash Blossom, 3 copies of Effect Veiler, and 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird. All these cards are really good for disruption, plus I like that 6 of them are spellcasters, so they make for good discard fodder if you draw into multiples, just to help you put more pressure on the opponent and extend your plays. Now that's it for the monsters. Now moving on to the spells, starting off with one of my favorites, 3 copies of Magistus. This continuous spell that has the effect that the first time each Magistus monster with an equipped card would be destroyed by battle each turn, it is not destroyed. Plus, once per turn, you can either special summon a level 4 spellcaster from your hand, or you can send this face-up card face-up spell to the graveyard and special summon any number of Magistus monsters with different names from your hand. Just a really good card all around for the deck, giving you protection and free special summons from the hand. Next, I play 3 copies of Magistus Theurgy. This quick play spell lets you equip a Magistus monster you control with a Magistus monster from your field, graveyard, or extra deck. Just another way to gain the effect of whatever you might want at the time. Plus, if you have at least one each Magistus Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link monster in your graveyard, you can equip a non-Magistus monster from your extra deck instead. Next, I have 3 copies of Magistus Vitra. This card acts as a monster reborn, letting you special summon a level 4 or lower Magistus monster in the graveyard. It also has the ability that if a Magistus card or cards in your spell trap zone would be destroyed, you can banish this card from the graveyard instead, which is a really good effect. And last of the Magistus spells, I play 1 copy of Magistus Invocation. This card is great as a one-of and is searchable for when you need it. I like playing 1 because you don't really want to draw into multiples. I really like this card's ability that when you fusion summon for a Magistus monster, you can use material from your spell trap zones as well. Then for the non-Magistus spells, I play 1 copy of Spell Power Mastery. I like this card in the deck because it lets you search your copy of Endymion from your deck to your hand. Sometimes you need to see a Magistus card in your opening hand. It's just a good card to help get your plays going. It is a once per turn, but a lot of times Endymion can be a 1-card starter as long as you have any other spellcaster monster in your hand. Next, I'm choosing to play a single copy of Secret Village of the Spellcasters. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with this card, which is why I'm only choosing to play 1 copy. I think it's fantastic being able to lock your opponent out of playing spell cards, but you always want to make sure you control a spellcaster or you can't activate spell cards. In a perfect world, it's a fantastic option to have, which is why I wanted to include it in this list. It's great when you see it, but you don't always need to see it. However, it's all up to personal preference at this point. Then rounding off the spells, I play 1 copy of Monster Reborn. Not much to say here, it's one of the best extenders for the deck. Being able to revive back some of your monsters is just great for recovery and putting pressure on the board. And finally, the only trap I'm playing is triple copies of Infinite Impermanence. This probably could have been mentioned with the other hand traps. Just an all-around great card to negate monster effects going first or second. Well, that is it for the main deck. As I mentioned before, it is 40 cards. Now, moving on to the extra deck. Kicking things off with our beautiful triple copies of Artemis the Magistus Moon Maiden, quarter-century secret rare. To me, this is the most important card in the extra deck as it helps you search and get your plays going. You are almost always making this card or equipping it to a monster. This Link 1 can be made with any level 4 or lower spellcaster monster and has the ability that if another Magistus monster is normal or special summoned while you control this card, you can target one of those monsters and equip this card to it. While this card is equipped to a monster, you can add a Magistus monster from your deck to your hand. Next is 2 copies of the fusion monster, Iwas, the Magistus Spell Spirit. While this is an equipped card, that monster gains 1000 attack and defense. It also has the ability that during the main phase, quick effect, you can target a monster on the field and equip this card to it. If it's an opponent's monster, you can take control of it. It can activate its effects, of course, but it's really nice to interrupt. I like having 2 copies of these as I like 1 copy to go into and the other copy to equip. It gives the deck balance and access to all of its resources. Next for the Synchro monsters, and probably the star of the deck, 2 copies of Zeroa the Magistus Conflagrant Calamity. If this card is Synchro Summon, you can equip it with a monster from your extra deck, and it also locks down your opponent from activating monster effects with the same type as the ones in your spell or trap zones, being either Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link. Plus, if this card is in your graveyard, you can destroy a Magistus card you control, special summon this card. Next is 2 copies of Varum, the Magistus Divinity Dragon. While this is an equip card, the equip monster can't be destroyed by spell trap effects. Also, if this Synchro Summon card is destroyed, you can destroy all face-up cards your opponent controls. Plus, at the start of the damage step, if the monster this card is equipped with to battles, you can destroy that opponent's monster. Yeah, at the start of the damage step, which is very nice. Now, for the Xyz monsters, I play 2 copies of Riliona, the Wondrous Magistus Witch Wardrobe. You can detach a material from this card to special summon a Magistus monster from your deck. Very important. It also has the ability that if this card is equipped to a monster, you can target a monster your opponent controls, negate its effects till the end of the turn. Really good for negating and taking care of problematic monsters. The other Xyz monster I play is 2 copies of Ninaruru, the Magistus Glass Goddess. While this card is equipped to a monster, that monster can make up to 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase. Really good for clearing the board. You can also detach a material, target a level 4 or higher spellcaster monster in the graveyard, and add it back to your hand. Plus, while this card is equipped to a monster, you can target a Magistus card in your spell trap zone, and 1 card your opponent controls, destroy them. Now, for the last non-Magistus monsters to round off the extra deck is 1 copy of Borlode Savage Dragon and 1 copy of Adamancipator Risen Dragite. Savage Dragon is a really nice option to go into. Plus, if you equip your copy of Artemis to this card, Artemis will get its effect to search you a Magistus card while giving your Savage Dragon a negate to use against your opponent. Dragite is a cool card to have access to, as its first effect doesn't really apply, but it does have a very sweet ability that when your opponent activates a spell or trap card or effect, while you have a water monster in your graveyard, you can negate the activation and destroy that card. Well, that is it for the deck profile. I really hope you enjoyed it. If there's anything you like or don't like, please leave me a comment telling me what you think. Be sure to like the video if you did and subscribe for more content. Thank you for your support and always enjoy the Sacred Cards. See you all in the next one.